So what do you need in your toolbox to really create a successful marketing campaign? A name that people recognize in the community as a real estate professional. So let's take a look at some of the necessities. The first one's an intangible. You're going to need a commitment. When I say commitment, commitments aren't subject to or conditional on. Once you make the commitment, you got to follow through on it. That's why I said to you earlier, it's really important to measure twice and cut once. Once you figure out where you're going, you got to stick with it. And you got to be prepared. It's going to take some time. And the message you start with isn't always the message you end up with. We have to go through the process of refining it and refining it and refining it until we get it right, or we get the theme right. Then it really starts to kick in. It's going to take an investment. I typically believe that it's about 30% of every paycheck, every commission check you get goes to marketing. Now, 20% of that is going to be set aside to market the individual listing you got. Just listed, for sale sign, videographer, stager, photographer, that sort of thing. But you're going to set 10% aside from every sale to go towards marketing your brand. That's your newsletters and your market reports and your monthly postcards, whatever you're doing in those categories. But that's where the budget comes for that. So what I need you to do at some point is you need to figure out how much money you're going to make this year, what that looks like from a 10% perspective. When you carve off the 10%, then that gives you a marketing budget, let's say for your farm area, and then you can decide how you're going to spend that money based on the amount of money you have available in terms of frequency and quality and all of that. It's all part of the exercise. But the investment is the next part. The third one I have for you is you need to be consistent. Once you start something, you got to stick with it. And the challenge here is a lot of times it can take 9, 12, 18 months before we get something off the ground and get a return for our investment. Most of the time I find that people try something for a couple of months and then what they do is they quit. And really what they needed to do is stick with it if they were going to get the results. It's kind of like I put out a couple of months of postcards, it didn't work, so you know what, I'm going to switch areas. No, we know the research tells us that we have 30 or 40 sales in that market every year. You need to stick with it. You need to refine the message, increase the quality, come up with something so that you capitalize on the lion's share of that business. Confidence is also really important, and it needs to resonate with your marketing. So when I get your marketing materials, it says, hey, you're confident. Now there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. It's a fine line. Confidence is beautiful. It's when somebody quietly knows, and you know, that they know what it is they're doing. They've got this thing nailed. I mean, you just get an energy from them. Really good people don't have to tell you they're really good, okay? People who aren't really good hide their insecurity by making a lot of noise, hopefully to distract you. I know this from management. It's the quiet ones that get up every day, come in and do what they're supposed to, in fact, do more than they're supposed to, are the ones that always end up winning the race. The guy that's making all kinds of noise and all of that over there, you know what? He'll never live to be as good as he could be. You learn more by listening than talking. So when it comes to confidence, it's a quiet, it's beautiful, and people are attracted to it. When it's arrogant, it's loud, it's obnoxious, it's rude, and people are repelled by it, though the two of them are very similar. I need your marketing materials to say, I'm good, but to do it with elegance, not to be brash with it. Next thing I'm going to say, you need to be patient. Nothing happens in the first couple of months. And most of the time, like I said to you, people just they don't have the patience. They don't see this thing through. So the neighborhood's got, the history says we got 40 sales a year in there. It's 500 homes with an 8% turn rate. We have 40 sales a year. Nobody seems to have the whole market, so there's an opportunity here. I know who the demographic is, so I got a sense of what messaging would work, but I won't be able to refine that until we do it over and over again. And we want to make sure once we figure out that it is working, that we continue to do more of that and refine that message. That's how you get traction. But you can't try something. You got to commit to doing something. Once you do your homework, you got to stick with it. That's where the success is. And you want to shake things up because I'm going to get bored. If the only thing you send me is a postcard, then after a while I get tired of seeing it. But if you send me a postcard, you send me a newsletter once a quarter, you send me a market report, you've got some really fun stuff going on in terms of your card campaigns. Like, maybe in February you got a Valentine's Day card that goes out. In March you got a St. Patty's Day. In June you got Father's Day. In May we've got Mother's Day. In April, so we've got all these different dates, Halloween, different fun stuff. What could you do that would really work with your community? And on top of that, we want some online stuff going on. We want some social media. I even like billboards. A billboard in the right location can get you lots of results. And when I say the right location, if you have a farm, then I'll bet in your farming area on the perimeter are some commercial buildings where they have like the pizzeria and the pharmacy and the dry cleaners. I'll bet you they have a wall. What you want to do is get a hold of the people that own that building and find out if you could put a really nice billboard on the wall of the commercial building so people can see it. It's got to be in a good visual location, but in relationship to your farm area. So not only are they getting your mail pieces, but every morning when they leave for work, what do they look at when they're at the stoplight and they're coming out of the subdivision? They're looking at your billboard. All of this is woven together to create the entire picture. So it's like I'm getting mail pieces. I'm on Facebook. It's like you're following me. I'm checking stuff out on Google. Your ads are popping up. I've got billboards. I've got newsletters. I've got farm material. Hey, listen, if I go to sell my house, I'm going to talk to you because everywhere I go, you're there. And not just there, you're there in a really great way. Messaging is important. The material and the quality of it is really, really good. So yes, you're going to be my go-to person. Every time you sell a house to a buyer, every time you sell a house for a seller, I need you to ask this important question. How did you find out about me? Because as the year plays out, we need to figure out what's working. And one of the ways to measure what's working is to ask the people that are working with you. How did you come into contact? How did we get in touch? And I need you to keep an ongoing record of this. So at the end of the year, next year, December, when you sit down again, I need you to look at the 24 deals you did or the 32 deals you did, and I need you to be able to tell me where every one of those deals came from. And then we need to figure out, is there a pattern? Because if there's a pattern, what was it that drove that business in the first place? And what are we going to do? We're going to do more of what works. But most of the time, most of the agents, I don't have a clue what works. If I ask them, how many deals did you do? Most of them look at me and go, I don't know, I think it was 18, maybe it was 20. I'm like, oh, okay. So in my mind, as the trainer guy, I'm thinking this person doesn't even know how many houses they sold. Then I say, well, how much money do you make? And they kind of like, oh, well, I kind of made this much. And they don't know. And I say to them, how much of your business came from listings? How much came from buyers? And then you get this look on your face like, what the hell is he? I don't know how much. And then I'd say, where did that business come from? They don't know. So any marketing they were doing, nobody knows if it's working or not working because nobody's measuring it. You need to measure it. You need to figure out what's happening. You need to be creative with your marketing pieces. I need you to be thoughtful. Now remember, not cheesy, creative. I need you to be elegant, but I need you to be creative. And I need you to think about who lives in this neighborhood and what would they like to hear? What problems do they have? And how could I demonstrate some of the solutions that might be available if they were to reach out and talk to me? There's a lot you can do with this if you put your thinking cap on. And I think this is one of the fun parts of real estate because you get to be creative. Next one I was going to say to you is content is really important. You want really good, high value, relevant content, something that I appreciate, something that's interesting to me. Now you've got my attention. So I need you to be thoughtful about what you're putting together. And the single most important decision you can make is which market will you specialize in. When I say that, first-time home buyers, senior citizens, move-ups, niche market, investors, farm area, expensive houses, Victorian homes. You're going to sell cottages, you're going to sell recreational, you're going to sell hobby farms, you're going to sell working farms, you're going to sell islands. What are you going to sell? Because it's all out there to be sold, but I need a specialist because I want one thing and I need to know who that person is. So who are you going to do business with? What type of real estate would you love to sell? What do you find creative? What challenges you? What keeps you up at night? You got your mind turning like, oh my gosh, I want to do this tomorrow. Or what gets you so excited that your feet are moving before you're even out of bed in the morning? That's how I want you to feel about real estate. Remember, quality is really important. If you do something crappy, people are going to think you're crappy. If you do something really great, people are going to think you're really great. So no matter what you do, you need to do it well, with no exceptions. Good enough is not good enough. Good enough is the enemy of great. And I can get average everywhere. I'm looking for exceptional. Perceived value. It's all about perception. Do the prospects perceive a lot of value in the opportunity of working with you? If they don't see that value, and if you're not doing everything you can to be the very best you can be, then you are competing with a whole lot of other people. Here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to put you in a category. I'd like you to put yourself in a category where the only competition you have is yourself. Think of it that way. Elevate yourself above the average, and then from there on in, it's about how good can I be? How excellent can I be? And when you develop a reputation of excellence, the lineup forms to the left.